To the Rise and Shine practice. This is Tuesday, December 30th of 2025. We are nearing the end of our 2025, and I put a link in the app in the main communication. I think it may also email you guys that we have that extra class for Wednesday. So the link for that class is in the app for 12 o'clock on Wednesday. Let's go ahead and begin our time together in the same way that we begin all of our moments of conscious awareness, and that is to first pause and take a moment to notice how we are held by the place where we are seated. And you want to be able to draw the footprint of that into your body diagram, and then also name that body part into the most supported body part in your journal. And as we are noticing that place where we are the most supported, we want to let the brain see it. Saying, here is where I am already supported, right where I am seated. And then we're allowing our body to rest into that. See if you can feel where the initial footprint started, where the deepest connection is, and then see if you can feel that through time, the other parts of the footprint that start to show up, so the parts of yourself that are settling down, can you draw that into there as well? And you're slowing down and allowing your brain to take that in a little bit further. So you're saying, now here is where I am already supported, and you're taking in how it's becoming broader the longer we sit with it. And what does that quality of support feel like to you? And we're letting our brain see this quality of support belongs to me. This quality of support belongs to me. And then we want to turn side to side, remaining connected to that support. And then you want to take a moment to notice what is the challenge that you are facing into today. And you want to notice, where does that circumstance come alive within your system? And I want to take a moment to, now we're going to move into conversation with our living creator. And so you want to be able to look at the line number 2, and you're adding the name of your creator to begin that line. How does your heart, what name does your heart use when calling to your creator? Who are you speaking to? And then we want to take a moment to notice, how does my mind see the challenge that I'm facing today, and what do I hear myself thinking as I'm facing into that challenge? then how do you see yourself speaking about this quality of challenge, or do you not speak about it? Maybe there's something you're supposed to be saying that you're not saying. Maybe there's something you're saying that might not be as helpful as you might imagine. And then notice your impulse to behave. And what are the emotions and the sensations that come up as you're facing into this challenge? And my breathing responds to this challenge in what way? And in the past, when I have faced into this challenge, what was the outcome? How did that go? And then this present challenge makes me think, what is going to happen in my future? And then we turn our minds, our hearts, and our lives to our Creator's heart, and we're saying this back. The first time we go through this, we're helping our brain to just arrive with what is actually happening and what we are up to, what we have been through. And now we're saying that to our Creator so that it's succinct, and then we can hear what is the response that we get back. So go ahead and turn yourself to face into your Creator's heart. And you're saying, this is how I see it, and this is what I hear my brain thinking as I'm facing into today's challenge. And then you're writing down your response. And then we take a moment to notice and share. This is how I speak about it. This is how I'm using my words in relationship to this circumstance. This is what I've been doing. And then noticing your impulse to behave. And then notice your emotions and sensations that come up, and again, revisit what is the quality of support that you're being given. That is the direct medicine, very, very, very directly. Quality of support is the medicine for the emotion and the sensation. It will spread out and meet everything else, but those are the two that we're really bringing together in our physiology, allowing to come together in our physiology. As you're noticing where in your body you're feeling that sensation come alive after this practice, that's where you're at some point today going to be doing your movements into Theragun, percussion support, into rest. And so look at that. That's what you're going to be working with today. It's not going to come in as something else. Like that's the area that your system needs support today. It's already telling you that right now as you're sitting here in this practice. So let your brain make that connection so we don't just skip over that. This is where your body is calling for support and rest. And as we apply both of those, then that integrates the way it's supposed to. So just make a mental note, this is where I'm going to be doing over here. You can even transfer it to this page. You can say, this is what I'm feeling here, and I'm going to transfer it over here because that's where I'm going to be doing the Theragun when I go into my next step of my practice today. And then notice how your breathing responds to that challenge. in the past when you faced into a similar challenge, you're looking at the theme of that. And then this challenge makes you think, what is going to happen in your future? And then we're taking a moment to notice, we're saying, show me exactly the steps to take today so that I can walk with you through this, being carried and caring for myself so that as I'm moving into this, I am rested, clear, directed, and purposed. Show me how to do that today. Let's take a moment to share or questions or whatever's going on. What is coming up for each of what is coming up for each of you this morning?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you feeling better?
A little, yeah, a little bit. I still don't have my voice back completely though.
Man, people have been getting sick. Are you the only one in your house that is sick, or is everybody else getting it too?
I am the only one right now. They were pretty just worn out last week, but nobody else seems to have, fingers crossed, nobody else seems to have actually gotten all of it like I did.
You got the full Monty. You took it for the team.
Yes.
I'm glad you're getting through it almost here. How has your morning been? What has stood out for you?
For me, I've been able to fill out number 2 all the way through, but I feel like there's so many sensations and emotions that keep coming in that like I'm not hearing much else other than just holding the emotions and sensations coming through.
See if you can kind of feel like you might feel that pressure coming from the outside in a particular direction, or like an experience of like a chaos type of thing. Is that what it feels like
Yes.
somewhere, right?
Hmm.
So just like when we talk about when I disassociate, I go over here and it's like here, and you can feel it. You can feel where it is. See if you can feel where that is. There's still a boundary or a shape externally that's coming in through. See if you can sense that for a moment, and how far outside of your body that is.
It's up and to the right, and it's probably about arm's length away.
Uh-huh. So you can draw that. You can draw that on here too, because it's a part of, like if I were to draw that, then I would put it up and to the right, and how big does that feel in relationship to my body? It's like this looming chaos of emotions, or this looming storm of emotions. You want to figure out, how do I name that? It's just a lot. You probably said it in the beginning, and I'm sorry if I wasn't listening. It's a lot of different emotions.
Mhm.
So you're going to write them in there, right? And then it's through our rest practices. So then you're looking at, where do I feel the pressure of that, or my body's impulse to disconnect from that? Where do I feel that in my body? What did you draw on your body diagram for the challenge?
It's the right side pain pattern.
Okay, so that's the place where this is going to come into when it's cared for and rested. So if my pain pattern, which it is for all of us, my pain pattern is going to be not feeling rested enough, not feeling supported enough to make space for this stuff to flow. So when I look at that and I'm saying, okay, first step first is this part of me gets to be totally cared for, and I get to push pause on all of that. But there's a certain quality of experience that begins to happen in the body when you just draw a circle around, this is here, and I get to push pause on that. Notice what that's like, and just give it a minute or so.
There's a big relief
Mm-hmm.
and a
There's a big
softening.
relief and softening. And a relief, why? What do you hear your brain, or why is that relieving for your system?
Because it looks and feels very big and like it's too much for me
Mm-hmm.
to do or take on or handle.
Mm-hmm. And yet,
God is bigger.
God is bigger. And also you have a process.
Mhm.
So like you have a process you've been given to put things in place and exercise a divine pace, which is kind and slow and digestible and doable every single day. And every challenge that we get, every way in which that shows up, I get to learn how to do it in a new way. But God's always going to say, from a place where you're rested and nourished and cared for, always. And so then what happens is that chaos stuff, because that's how our world works, it starts to line up. It goes out of chaos and actually gets in more order and becomes doable. But I can't do any of it unless the part where my body is feeling not supported, it has to be supported by the divine in order to do this. In this month, as we're working on the miracles, and how do we position ourselves for these miracles? Notice why that makes sense. Notice when's the last time, and this is for all of us, when's the last time I was really able to see, truly my body is showing me where I need support today. Every single day, multiple times a day, my body's going to show me where I need support. I don't have to make this up or figure it out. My body's telling me. And then there's the part of me that chooses to do that. Notice what's happening with the cloud of emotions as we are just slowing it way down and talking about the body. What happens to the cloud of emotions?
It already feels like it's not as sharp.
Mm-hmm.
It almost felt like dagger sharp, like,
Right.
but now it's not.
Because in the past, it has felt dagger sharp, right? In the past, it has felt that way because we didn't have a process and we didn't have tools to recognize that we can be supported. So in the past, it was painful. And then today, what was painful in the past can be done in a fresh way. And that's a big part of the miracle, is for our brain to be able to see that. The reason why we slow it down and why we're talking in the group, and this is like a Sangha, why we're talking like this is to help everybody's brains, including mine, see that this is possible for every single experience. And the more that we say it and the more that we watch it happen, the less afraid we are and the less out of control that we feel. Because it just works by just us allowing it and making sure that we're cared for. Is there anything else that stands out for you? Anything else you want to share about it?
No, I just the process of seeing or hearing what I'm gonna do today now. I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And as you see that, and you take a moment to see yourself carried in that too. Like, this is what I'm being invited to do. And how do I see myself doing that, also being carried? I'm not doing that alone. Notice what happens with that other piece. I'm not doing this alone.
When we first started, that part of me couldn't even sense that there was any form of support.
Mhm.
But now there's a warmth that is coming through, and that feeling of being stuck is the stuck feeling is starting to dissipate and move as well.
Mhm. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. So there's going to be parts of our body, or parts of our bodies, guys, that went through something that in our world we would call was traumatic. Traumatic in the definition of this work is that there's too much, there's so many things that are processing because so many things changed in a very short amount of time. So if I have a loved one that's very close to me and they die, there's so many things that change around my life in a very short amount of time, because where they were once with me in the physical realm, now they're going to be with me in a different way. And so that changes everything. So my body has to process all that. My mind and my body have to process, well, how do I do life carried when they're in a different form than they were that I'm used to? Or I have something happen to me that changes how I understand myself and how I understand the world. Is the world safe? Is it not safe? Am I capable? Am I not capable? So we have these things that happen where there's a bunch of different experiences that are emotions and things I believe about myself and my capacity, and things I believe about other people, and things I believe about my possibility. And they can all be coming in. And if my body has been impacted by that, if that's flowing into my body, but my body doesn't feel rested or supported, my body resists that and establishes a limitation. So we can feel these circumstances, and also I can leave my body there too. So here I have this big amount of traffic of experiences coming in. My body doesn't know how to do it, so then I get out. And then we're stuck in this frozen place, or in this place of restriction or resistance, or I'm over here trying to fix a whole bunch of stuff over here, rather than being with this process, because I don't understand how my body is connected to integration. So our body is going to show us where. It's why it's so powerful that we have these little body diagrams every day. And if you guys go back and you look in prior days and you start seeing the different parts, was I able to take care of it that day when it was showing up there? Was I able to take care of it as it shows up here? We're getting ways in which these experiences are flowing to us in a new way every day. And that'll be that for the rest of our life. And what we're doing is strength training our capacity to hear and trust what our body's telling us, and hear and trust what God is telling us, what the divine is telling us, and to soften our reliance on what our brain is telling us. What stands out for you guys when you begin to hear that invitation? This is what we're being invited to do.
The image of lots of traffic really, really makes sense to me, especially this morning. For me right now, for some reason, my immediate surroundings, I see many things that I've neglected. I've just ignored them, gotten used to this is how it looks, and now all of a sudden it's starting to draw my attention, and I experience overwhelm and frustration and impatience with myself. And at the same time, what you were saying, when someone we love is either has left or is in the process, that all of that is going on too. What I don't quite see yet how the two relate, but for months I've kind of ignored what I would consider somewhat of chaos physically, and all of a sudden it's starting to stand out, and I'm starting to see many ways. It is like self-care. If I'm learning to care for myself in new ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is partly why the clutter and the chaos around me is suddenly standing out. So,
well, and also
yeah.
it's like you can only do one thing well at a time. And you guys have been here through this process, and he would have me out doing something out in the world, dealing with big emotional challenges out in the world while this falls apart, and he wants me to let it fall apart. The invitation was to let it fall apart, to let it move into chaos, to let it be broken, and to not identify with that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looking at this part is falling apart because this other part is growing in a very significant way. Your heart and your capacity to stand in chaos there has been huge. And now you get to then, as you've built that there, then you turn inward, and now it's time to be with the chaos here and be able to tend to it, because this makes your home base and your ground even bigger to then be with the next heartbreak that's going to come from out there.
Okay.
So it's not like we're doing all of it all the time, all the things, you know. We're not. We're coming in and then we're going out. And then what happens is then that starts to speed up. Then I'm coming in and going out, and from the outside it looks like, oh, you're doing everything. And it's like, no, for a long time I did nothing here. I built it up here. He's had me built up the grounds and the space and the house here, I think 4 times of building it and letting it die. And then building it and letting it die. And putting it together, and then total chaos and like not able to be here because I was doing something else. And then coming back and then having that increased capacity to then work my way through again and be here in a more gentle way. But he has me leave this and trust it. And trusted that I don't need to be the one caring for it. One of the things I can give an example of this is that whalebone plant that I have that's the same as yours, or the whale fin, or whatever it's called. And that is like such a precious plant. It is so sacred and fragile and amazing, right? Well, one of the chickens got on that thing about 4 weeks ago and knocked it off, or even longer than that. Knocked it off. It's on its side. And I'm like horrified. And he keeps saying, leave it. Don't touch it. All through the freezes, all through the stuff. Don't cover it. Don't do it. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. And I'm like, this is crazy. But then I walked out there yesterday, and underneath where Landon set fire up on that thing, I almost said, the whalebone plant is there, and it turned into 2 plants in the position that it is, without me touching it, without me out there thinking I need to manage it. It was by me completely letting it go and letting God do what God's going to do. And whatever mess that is created is also for us to go into that and say, that's not my identity. I was following exactly what he told me to do, which was to focus on this direction, not in that direction. And as I did that and I come back, it has reorganized itself in what is next.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel the sorrow of, I'm so sorry that I wasn't able to stay connected. And yet it was through me getting out of the way that God was able to make it into 2. And we think it always has to look like Better Homes and Gardens 24/7. And that means I'm doing good and I'll identify with that. Rather than letting things fall apart and going on a journey with Christ and trusting that where I am led for the day is going to be exactly where I need and sufficient. And I don't know what that's going to be. But I do know how to feel what that is supposed to be for me each day. And if I know how to feel that, and if I have that connection, I don't have to worry. And then I'm watching things as they're reorganizing around me, and then you get to be surprised later. It's not like, oh, you should have been keeping your whole house in tip-top shape, while also putting yourself in position to do all of the amazing work that you have done emotionally with your family and friends. There's not one person, because I know you personally, there's not one person in your life, in your family and friends, that you have not dramatically gone deeper into a more authentic relationship with being with what is present in the last 6 months, right?
Yes.
Right. So who cares? The house being cluttered or the spaces being, it's like, now it's their turn. You did it out there. Now you're going to be doing it here.
Mm-hmm.
And that is balance.
Yeah.
And so when we're looking at how we have that impulse to identify with that, that's worldly. That's not from Jesus. That is not from God. And there should not be any shame or guilt or identification with that. That is what is. And then let Jesus show you what that is for you now, because it's just what's next.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because you did something wrong. Would you trade any of those depths that you have established and the things that have turned into grace and peace for a clean cabinet?
No. No. It's interesting. This really helps how you reflect back to me. What came up as you were talking is, as a child, my room was what I was controlling,
Right.
meticulously. And I think Jesus is now leading me through that in a totally different way.
Yeah.
That was my security back then.
Yeah.
Because I had no control over so many things, and that was the one area where I could exert control. And so it's come back full circle, and here I am.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, you guys saw I had that soil in my driveway for 4 months. That was sitting in there. People would come, when are you going to get that soil out of your driveway? My neighbors, like, all the time. We're going to put a tag on that. This is crazy. You need to get it. Good thing you're not an HOA. All the time. Then the day Jesus told me, put the soil in the yard, put the plants in, plant all the vegetables, do all the things. Now my neighbors are coming and saying, whoa, man, now you got all these vegetables growing. Like now they're jealous because it flips it. And the soil was supposed to be there until exactly when I needed it. And he says, next time you're just going to put the soil behind the fence. They're not going to see. But that's the rhythm. And you listened because you let it be there until I told you to use it for this other stuff. And now the whole yard is planted with vegetables in all these different stages that happened in 3 days because I had all the resources in the place where they were supposed to be when he was going to tell me to use them. And I look and see how even myself, I would be like, oh, I got to get this out of the driveway. For 4 months, I keep like in my head, I'm like going, when is this going to be done? I don't like that sitting there. This is ridiculous. And then I see how he did it and how perfect it is and how it wasn't even just like a little bit, it's like 10 steps forward. And then how people respond to it, because we're all working from that mindset of it needs to all be perfect, all tidy, all the time, all the way. And like, you guys have seen it here and you guys have it in your house too. It's not like any of us are not doing that. It's just we think we're in control of it all, rather than really being with the things that we can't reach in a day. We're not supposed to be reaching it. Like, if we could, we would. And the same is true for the practices. So just how does that make you guys feel when we see that we are not in control of this rhythm? We are being told on a daily basis what to do, and we're being given the aliveness that we need to do that. And if it's not something that we've been told or that we've been given, we're not supposed to be doing it. To me, it feels terrifying and exciting at the same time.
For me, it takes a big weight off of me. And at the same time, it's like freaking out a little bit. So the both are right there.
Yeah. And I think the more that, like when we do this class we're going to do tomorrow, and we're receiving how much has changed. Because when we really can see it and we can receive how much has changed, the brain is able to see this is actually the formula. It's not this formula of strangle everything into submission and become a Stepford wife and make it all the same and perfect and locked down and in control. And you can't breathe and you'd like lose your mind, right? Versus this is the process, which is let things flow the way they're supposed to be flowing, because I'm not the one who knows how to build the body. And so it's doing its own thing. If I can just let myself be in alignment with that, that's totally different. And it takes me 50 times farther in directions I could never imagine I could even go. And it's going to be messy. And our messiness is not just to evoke us, but it's to evoke everybody around us, so that everybody around us can see that. And that is, I think, one of the most important parts of it. That yes, this is for me, but this is also so that everybody else can come and see that this is how this can flow. And they're going to see that before they can actually hear what you're saying that you're doing. Yeah. Also, if you weren't told to move 5 tons of rocks throughout the summer, you might have had some time to straighten some papers up, but that's not what you were invited to do. You were
That's it. I'm glad you mentioned that. I completely forgot. Yeah.
You were talking yesterday about your knees, and I was laughing because I'm like thinking about your knees moving all those rocks, you know? It's like, well, I mean, we're only supposed to be doing what we're invited to do. you know, like, and it looks different for each of us. Totally different. Totally different. Anyways, we're dragging it out past the time here, but there's one other participant on here if you want to share something, and before we head off, I don't want to cut you off.
I'm just enjoying the conversation. I had got so much out of it because I recognized the next part of my pattern, which is I get to the place where I just feel so totally supported and I feel so at ease and everything is wonderful. And then I start clinging to that and I want to keep it. And
Right.
I'm watching the early stages of that happen just this morning, where I'm not feeling as energetic as I was last night, and I'm watching the pattern begin. Only this time I'm seeing it, and I'm experiencing it, but I'm also seeing it, and I don't think I've ever seen it before. I've just assumed that when that happens, I'm not doing it right anymore, and I've got to speed up my mental body, and I got to get more into it. And as my vision gets bigger, I start seeing more of the things I haven't done that I need to do, and then I create myself going right back into that resistance again. It's like I can't do it all. I'm not good enough. I'm incapable. All of those old things tend to come back up. So this time I'm going to see them as friends, and this time is going to be a little bit different in some way. I have no idea how, but it's a different world I'm living in today than I was yesterday, and it will be different tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know how it goes, and what happens is that's your brain starting to say da 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 da, right? And you can feel it go down. And so what you want to do is hold your brain, go back to massage, movement, rest it, and then where am I directed? Not where my brain wants to go. Where am I? You're going to be led and given 1 to 17 things. But when you can,
yeah, that scares me.
and you're in the slot with the one thing, then you're going to be given that. But you got to stay in that slot and not be up in your brain. And so, you know, so you start to see all the things because your brain sees that. But anytime that I have that impulse to do something that is coming from me running at it versus me moving at it being carried, I'm coming from the brain. So I got to go back. I got to go back to the beginning, and I got to go to let me hold my brain. Let me hold my brain and offer my brain rest because I don't have to run at anything anymore. Steps of that process are, they will rectify that. And that's why the overflow practices are so powerful, because you're interrupting how your brain wants to do it multiple times a day. If you could do even 2 or 3 or 4 of the overflow intervals peppered, you know, punctuated throughout your day, you're going to be stopping your brain's organic impulse to be doing what it's doing, and you're letting your body and your divine connection be what's leading. So when our brain looks at that saying, I don't want to show up that much, I don't want to do that much, I don't want to be like, I know you don't. Absolutely. It's like a little kid, but I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to go back in and we're going to come through the back door with Christ and watch where that leads me. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. And when we do tomorrow's class and you sit down and you look at, we're talking about one big growth in tomorrow's class, but I'm going to invite you guys to, over the next 4 or 5 days, think about count how many growths you've had since you've 2025, or even since you've just begun these practices. How many dynamic things have changed, and put your list into the school app, into the general discussion, because I mean, I can't even count. It's like over 100 different things have changed in 2025.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
yeah. I tend to keep track better of the things that didn't work than I do the things that did. It's like it goes in my rearview mirror and I forget all about it until I can look back there. So I appreciate that.
I'm talking like just the capacity for all of our butts to be up at 5:30 in the morning or 3:30 to do a 4 o'clock class in the morning.
Exactly.
In that we are conscious and that we're not yelling and kicking and screaming, but that our body is actually doing this and it does it easily. That's crazy, right? Every day. That's crazy. And yet we're able to do it. And then from that, boom, 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 all these other things begin to change. And so it's like helping the brain to really map that these processes are the foundation of what moves our body into deep alignment with the Holy Spirit, and that moves us into being a vessel driving towards wholeness in every corner of our life. But it's not going to be because we're running at it, because then boom, we just lost our power, and that's why you're tired. So when you're tired and you're frantic, that just means that the brain's ahead of the body, and we just come back into the processes to put the body and the spirit in front of the brain. And let the brain be the caboose, and let the brain know that it's the caboose and it's okay to be the caboose, and that's its actual job. And it just gets to be taken on the adventure. It just gets to follow and be carried and move through, and it gets to look at the scenery and enjoy it. But it's not the front of the caboose. It's not the front of the train, it's the caboose.
That would be that aspect that goes, I've done A, B, C, and D today, and my brain would go, yeah, but you didn't do this and you didn't do that. Instead of it being, here's my next step, which is, that would be a really transformational thing to do. It's like, oh, my mind sees the next step. Oh, thank you very much for your input. Instead of the process that I tended to do before. So yeah, wow, what a gift.
Also, that may be tomorrow, or that may be 4 months from now that we're going to do that. God will let me know. And I think that's one of the things. It's like, I know that you guys have things in your life where it's like, I need to do that. But then there's this thing that like says not today, or you didn't get it done today. But it's always just this not today, because when it is the day, then all of a sudden the doors open and it's like, go do that thing. But you have things that have been like buffering you and pushing you back, and that is for a reason. So we just tell the brain, yeah, that's going to be amazing when we get to do that, and God will be the one who tells me when I'm supposed to do that, and I can trust that. So it's huge, and the closer that we can get to that, I'm directed here, I'm not running out, like then so much more gets done. And one of the things I realized then is like, then I got to not put the brakes on my divine path, because I freak out and I jump off the train. Like, I don't know where, this is like so much, I don't know about this, I'm going to jump off the train. And that's like, I got to stay on the train. So anyways, let's take a moment and bow our heads and our hearts and our lives. I'm so thankful for this group, and thankful for the fact that we have this process, and this process works, and it's proven in each of our own unique lives. We can hear it at work in each other's lives, and it is the same in our life, different circumstances, same process, amazing power and gift and grace. And I'm so thankful, God. My heart calls to Jesus and the Holy Spirit and to my Creator God. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for my family, my friends, this group, this process, all of the abundance. And I'm so, so, so excited to receive 2025, and then to move into 2026, committed, obedient, disciplined, ready, and willing to walk where you are leading. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And I hold space for everyone else's heart to offer an authentic thanks for the power and the processes we've been given. I thank you all for being here. What a beautiful class this morning. I'm going to go ahead and post this one on YouTube too, because this was really good. And but then tomorrow, Wednesday, 12 o'clock, it's probably going to be about an hour and a half long. And I'll get the worksheets to you before that class starts. And I hope you guys have a great day today. And I did have a question in the group about where do we find out if the classes are not going to be held on time. I don't want to put that in the app all the time because it's things that shift daily, and I don't want people to get annoyed with too many contacts coming through that app. So I still want to do it on the cell phone. If you guys want to be on that call list, let me know. I'm going to make a list that is only when I have to change that schedule. So we're not texting any other information. We're not doing it, and I'm not texting anything else through there. It is only the notification for when we are missing class. If you want to be put on that list, let me know, and I'll always let you know if the Rise and Shine or the evening practice are going to be shifting their time. So we'll figure out how to do that in a way that's efficient, but also doesn't make people want to just turn their phones off and never check it. So I love you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.